make the strings.
Alright guys, we're back at the shop today, and good thing that David has this this 2J setup right here that oh, it won't. Here we go. So anyhow, Dave's little, we've talked, I haven't showed you guys this, but Dave has videos of this thing on. You have videos on this right there, yeah? Dave's Poor Man Supra. Yeah. So go look at that. And anyhow, this thing, he got it and it has a 1JZ in it. And the plan is I don't know what the hell he's gonna do with the 1JZ.
I don't know, but the 2J's going in it, that OS Geiken clutch, and that 2017 370Z.
OS Geiken and a 370Z. So he's just basically copying me, but he's gonna spend 10%.
Yeah.
Like with this Poor Man Supra right here with this SC. So anyhow, he bought this this whole engine setup and it had the twins on it, and then he found this like Supra Borg Warner that's like a big crazy EFR. Anyhow, since it's the JDM one, it has the map sensor on it, and the one in here is the map sensor, because the USDM ones, they come with the factory mass airflow sensor. So I think pretty much all we need to do is unplug this map sensor and then bolt that other one on and see, because basically the issue we're having is when you get into boost, it just goes lean right away. The other option is maybe a fuel filter. So, but we're gonna try the map sensor real quick, and then if not, David bought a fuel filter for this thing that he hasn't put in yet, so then I'm gonna steal it from him and buy him another one.
I mean, I was planning on doing the fuel filter in the pump tonight, and the plugs. Then I can put those seats back in.
Wow, David. Maybe we'll swap it. If it fixes mine, then I'll buy you one, and then if it doesn't fix it, then I'll just put the old one back on it. And
alright, it's probably gonna fix it.
I don't know. Let's see. So we got the new sensor in it, and look at that. I don't know what's up with that thing, but it definitely looks like melted and broken and angry. So I guess we'll take it and see what it does with some boost.
Probably don't need the fans because you're not gonna drive that far.
Yeah. So bad news, it's basically doing the same exact thing. So you can see right here we have boost on the top and air fuel on the bottom. So we're at like 2 pounds, 5 pounds, 6 pounds, and it's like 14. So it's basically just lean the whole time. So it does have a check engine light, so I'm gonna go ahead, there's like a plug down there on the ground, and you can basically let it flash, and that should kind of flash, you know, and give us a code, and then I'll kind of, I guess, put us, you know, give us a little bit more insight into what the actual ECU is like saying that's wrong with it. Alright guys, so back here, day 2 of kind of messing with this, not really messing with this issue. Basically I just kind of drove it around yesterday with that different map sensor in, and nothing really changed. But so yeah, after looking at the car a little bit more, you can see it has the mass airflow sensor plug right there. And so I figured out this is a USDM twin turbo automatic engine harness with the JDM engine. And the difference between the JDM 2J and the USDM one, there's actually quite a few things, but sensor wise, the USDM one has a mass airflow sensor, which basically has the volume calculation and like an intake air temp sensor built into it, whereas the JDM one actually has its own intake air temp sensor as well as its own map sensor. And the map sensor uses the same pins in the ECU, like in the harness and everything, so that's fine. And the IAT, I'm assuming, uses the same thing. So this one looks like they went ahead and added the plugs for it and kind of wired. You can see it's got like some black tape going down there actually into the harness. So I guess now I'm kind of questioning, I guess, the wiring job on that, just to double check and I guess see, you know, if it's actually seeing the correct signal. But yeah, essentially the difference between the JDM 2J and the USDM one has more aggressive camshafts. It has a non-hydraulic water pump, which this one has already been converted, and it also has 550cc injectors, and the turbos do not have the ceramic exhaust wheels like the JDM ones. What?
Why does mine have a hydraulic water pump then?
No, yours does. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, so right here, so see this? This is a JDM one, so this is a hydraulic water pump, and it has these hydraulic fittings that come off the side of it that basically run like a hydraulic fan off of it, whereas this one, it's already been converted to like the USDM one or whatever. This is how all the VVTi ones are as well, and you could basically bolt a clutch type on here, or you could just convert it to electric fans like you see right here. But yeah, so I guess the thing that I'm getting ready to do is try to find the little jumper connector so I could flash the ECU and actually read the codes and see what it's angry about, and then that'll tell me more. Alright guys, so under the dash right here, here is the little connector, and so basically it has a little readout right there. Basically what we need to do is jump E1 to TE1, and I have these, I don't even know what the hell these are, little fancy little jump things, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump those, and then the ECU light should flash and tell me. And then we turn the ignition on. So 13, 4, 42. Okay, 13 again. Okay, so 13 and 42. So now I gotta get on the Googler again. Everybody always asks me how I know so much about cars, but all I gotta do is get on the Googler. But so it's a 42 speed sensor signal circuit. So I don't know exactly what's up with that. And then the 13 is like a tachometer issue. 13 right there. No signal to ECU. Does not pulse. Signal continues for 3 seconds during idling. So I don't know, maybe the ECU is not actually seeing the tach signal. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta think about it for a little bit. I guess the next thing on the list, spark plugs. You can see this one's kind of cruddy looking. I don't know what was up with that, if it just had water or something in there. And then you can see it's all like brown around the thing. So they didn't have any BKR 70s, so I got some 60s, because David used them all in his thing yesterday, so he just took out the local O'Reillys. He wiped out their stock. So yeah, I'm gonna throw well, I already threw in the new plugs real quick, and so yeah, that's gonna be the next thing on the list. And then after that, it's gonna be the fuel filter. I guess, I don't know, normally I guess when it goes lean, so I wouldn't assume that, I would assume that it would go rich because it's not sparking and there's more fuel, but it's, I don't know. I'm gonna try this and then fuel filter next. I mean, it's always idled good though. The other thing is, oh geez. I mean, I was using David's thing as a shelf. Yeah, the foils on there. Somebody was doing a foilie with the plugs. Let's see. Oh, the power steering is just is like a whiny. It's a whiner. Still doing the same issue. Boost on top, -8. Get in a little bit of boost. See, it stays like 14. So I don't know. Fuel filter time. Alright, so it's kind of like as soon as you get to, I don't know, it seems like it got a little bit better, like it doesn't actually cut out as soon. And it's kind of like as soon as you hit like 6 pounds of boost, it kind of goes into this weird zone. It was actually going into the 12s, and it kind of sputtered a little bit more. But one of the quick thing that I'm going to do to it real quick is I'm going to do the True Twins mode. So you can hear right now how it's really, really quiet. This thing doesn't even sound like a JZ at all. fix that real quick. So you can see over here on these factory twin turbos, there's kind of a lot of random vacuum lines and things you got to kind of look for. Well, like look at and you're like, oh, what does this go to? So essentially, you can see that little valve right there. And then you look down at the exhaust and you see that valve right there. So that is the exhaust bypass valve. And then this is like basically for the charge piping, it completely basically blocks it. So essentially when you're under 7 pounds of boost, all of basically this whole back turbo is not working at all. So all 6 cylinders worth of exhaust is going through this front turbo and feeding through there. And it basically closes off this pipe right here, so no boost goes like back through the turbo, and then it closes off the back side of the turbo, so no exhaust will flow through the turbo. So essentially the turbo doesn't flow at all. So how basically how we bypass that is see right here, there's these 2 little hoses. Make sure you guys can kind of see me, but essentially you just take this hose off of this guy right there. You take this hose off of that guy right there. You hear that little vacuum kind of come off? And then you just plug that one in straight to there. And then you could just throw that thing back on here. You can see that little rubber cap is actually cut. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with my stuff being angry at me. Yeah, so essentially as soon as this system gets pressurized, it won't be in true twins mode at first until it actually gets pressurized. I'm just kind of double checking some of these vacuum lines. And then basically down here, for this mode, you can see there's that skinny little piece of hose going to it. That goes to a little actuator right up front somewhere. This is the front wastegate, by the way. But see this little actuator right here that my light's touching on? That's where it goes to. And there's a pressure line that comes from up above. And so essentially all we have to do is just connect it straight to that pressure line, probably one of these lines, I'm assuming, and just go directly into, yeah, that's exactly what we do. So it's probably this line right there, that skinny one, that goes to that pressure valve. So we'll just disconnect that and connect it straight to that, and that will give us our thing, because you can see right now, it basically goes up and connects to that little actuator, and we're just gonna connect it right to that. So you can see I added basically just a little T because it wasn't long enough to meet that thing. So yeah, basically I'll start it back up, and now, like I said, it will not be in true twins mode until I hit boost, and then as soon as I hit boost, it'll basically just pressurize that system. There's a check valve in it somewhere, and then as long as it has pressure in it, the valves will remain open, and it'll be in true twins mode, and it's gonna sound awesome like an actual Supra, so I'm excited for that. I should probably hook up the fans too. So it got a little bit louder. It's still doing... It's still not right, and it's kind of, it almost seems like it's over boosting now. It's hitting like 15 pounds of boost once randomly. Their fuel actually dipped down a little bit, and it got kind of like actual decent AFRs for a second, but then it's like almost hitting too much boost. So I feel like it has to be kind of something with vacuum lines, so I guess we'll call it back in and check. So now this thing kind of, it's a little bit louder, and it actually kind of sounds like a Supra. Not like a single turbo one, but it sounds a little bit better. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and double check all the vacuum lines, make sure all that stuff is good, and then I guess it's time for that fuel filter probably. So it's still having the issue. Definitely a little bit slower now, but watch. I don't know, I'm almost, because he said something about them doing the timing on it. And I'm curious if maybe like one of the cams is off or something, and it's getting angry at that, because it kind of seems like it kind of does some weird thing where it kind of like sputters and almost wants to like backfire a little bit, but it's just weird. I don't know. But he did say that the shop that was kind of working on it did put a new timing belt on it, and it looks pretty new. So that might be an option too, because it does have some cam angle sensors or some cam sensors on it. So maybe it's like a tooth off, and you're kind of getting into boost, and it's like it almost sees what it likes, and then it's like, nope, screw that. But I kind of feel like it would give a code for that. But I guess the only way to check that is to actually time it. So just check the timing on it. So I went ahead and I lined up the little mark down there on the 0. And then you can see these guys right here. That's lined up right there, and that's pretty much lined up right there. And I counted the teeth on that one and then compared it to that one too. And it looks like it's in time. I mean, as far as all that stuff goes, so I don't know, that's just very, very odd. I went ahead and I did disconnect the traction control, because I was kind of assuming that might be an issue. You know, it could have been kind of cutting itself out, essentially. But yeah, I don't know. The other option is because it did have like that speedometer thing, is the ECU might want to see like how fast it's going to like change the timing or something, or see whether it's in park, neutral, reverse, or drive or something like that. So maybe that's another option too, is to make sure that all that stuff's correct. I don't know. It's seems like it's running. It's definitely running better than it was, but it's still not to its full potential. So it's kind of doing weird stuff. Well, I'm kind of a goof. When I checked the codes initially, I seen that. Let's see if it'll focus on here for me. Code number 13 is any signal circuit 2, and I was like, what is that? I just thought any signal meant like something with the because the tachometer isn't working or something like that. But look at that, open or short in crankshaft position sensor. Could be a mechanical system, malfunction, skipping teeth of timing belt or belt stretched, crankshaft position sensor, camshaft position sensor 1 or 2. So basically exactly what I was kind of thinking. It just kind of feels like it doesn't know where it's at almost. So yeah, I guess I just need to start looking at this crankshaft position sensor wiring, which kind of looking, that almost looks something's been taped. This is O2 sensor, but crankshaft position sensor goes right behind the water pump. You can see a hug. So I guess I need to double check that, make sure it's okay. So now I'm starting to get confused. So basically I checked the resistance of the crank sensor and both of the cam sensors up here, because there's like a forward one and a reverse one, and I kind of referenced them to the one on that engine. So the crank was like 0.850 or so. Basically same with those, 0.850 like resistance. This one over here was like 0.675, 0.675, 0.67, you know, somewhere in that range. So the other thing I was thinking is, okay, well, it kind of looks like there was some sort of like a little fire right here, and a little bit of this wiring looks like it was kind of messed with. So then I went ahead and I pulled the plug to the crank position sensor and measured the resistance going to the ECU, and it was basically, you know, 0.001. Came over here, and now I'm basically doing the same thing for the crank positions. I did it also with the map sensor. So you can see right there, I basically have this little jumper thing. I have my lead from the little test deal over there, and then I have this little guy plugged into the signal side. So we come over here to the inside of the car. So I just got a little ECU pin out offline, and so you can see right there, we got 0.00 resistance. I'll go ahead and kind of pull it out, and then if I can remember which one it was. Nope. Yeah, you can see it go down there. Yeah, so basically I have the same version down here. I have these little kind of jumper pins with these little alligator leads, and I have it hooked up to that. So yeah, I'm not I don't know, I'm kind of confused now. The other option I was thinking was the crank, you know, like when we did the timing belt on the giveaway car or whatever with the 2J, David ended up busting a tooth off. Remember that? Dave busted a tooth off. So I shine my light, you know, down in there, and If you guys could actually see down there, if it'll even let me focus on this. Okay, see, but you could see the teeth. Yeah, you could see the teeth down there. So I counted all the teeth, made sure all the teeth were there and didn't look like they were busted off. Because like I said, he basically said that it has not ran good since it's been in there. So ever since it was swapped, it's kind of always done this, and that's kind of what he told me. But yeah, so the crank positions, or the cam position sensors up top, they did have a little bit of oil in the connectors and stuff, so I cleaned those out with a little bit of electronic cleaner, cleaned them out. The check engine light went away for just a second, but I also disconnected the battery and did all that stuff. And yeah, so basically as soon as you start it, the check engine light comes right back. So essentially at some point the ECU is confused about something, whether it be where it's at as far as, you know, timing. Maybe it still is off a tooth or something, or you know, it's just getting error that it doesn't know that is there. So, because essentially it's reading, you know, 6 pounds of boost, but it's only giving it fuel, you know, for not that much, because that's why it's going lean. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go home for the night and kind of think a little bit more, some more potential stuff. Might end up checking out maybe it's a bad ground, maybe it's a sensor ground instead of the actual wire going to the ECU. So maybe I'll figure out how to check that type of stuff tomorrow. And yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for tonight, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Alright guys, well it's been like 2 days or 3 days since I've really messed with this thing. So anyhow, David was kind enough, he brought me his ECU to his little JDM 2J over there. So I guess we're gonna plug that in and kind of see. So I drove it around yesterday a little bit, and I don't know, still doing weird, still going lean and boost, still, I don't know, it's either something to do with the timing, something to do with the wiring, or the ECU. I guess we'll throw this ECU in here real quick, and hopefully that's good. So hope you guys can see what I'm doing in here. I guess we'll kind of pull this out of the way. You can see right, oh nope, not right there. Here we got a magical ECU. Hope it works. Alright. So I guess we'll see what this guy does. It's like 30 degrees in Colorado right now. It's like crazy cold. It's probably like 25 degrees. It is. So we'll see. Well, it runs. TAC doesn't work because this is the USDM NA TAC. So it does like a really like high, kind of like a higher voltage signal, whereas the JDM ones, kind of with the coil packs they put, or you know, the twin turbo ones have the coil packs. See, it's already running rich. JDM ones with the coil pack have like a light, like a little baby girl signal. So I don't know, maybe his is out of a manual. I don't know. Purple ECU versus black ECU. I need to do some Googling probably. But I guess we'll back it out and maybe take it for a little drive and see what it does. So check engine light is still on, and it's still doing its weird thing. So watch, here's going into boost a little bit, and it basically just kind of like sputters and pops, like when you're doing it. And you know, check engine light is still on. So I guess we'll have to just double check that. But it's weird. It seems like it sometimes it instantly goes to like 12 pounds of boost too. So like when you're like getting into it, like it shouldn't like build that much boost like that quick, and it went to like 16. Huh. I mean, that, I don't know, it's just weird. Yeah. I mean, that could be like a timing thing, you know, because the boost really doesn't kind of know where to go. time. I mean,
maybe both of them run all the time.
I mean, honestly, like that would be like the best case scenario for me, is like to just be able to like put it back in time, and then like versus chasing wiring and sensor and all those weird issues.
Yeah.
So I just got back from that little test drive, and it just seems like it didn't really do much. But I did put the bumper on it. Like, I think that was yesterday I put the bumper on it, because it, I don't know. The other thing I need to do is these headlights. I can't stand those headlights, looking at those for too much longer. I'm surprised I haven't buffed it. But we got a bunch of crap going on around here at the shop. So I guess now, is officially look at the timing.
I can't
Go ahead.
get that. No, that's like
That's too easy.
too easy.
Okay. So if you guys ever are wondering how to get the crank pulley bolt off in the car, I have this fancy Matco tool. I think other people sell them. I got that with a JZ. So somebody just gave me that. I bought some JZ stuff one time, and I didn't know it came with the Supra. Came with that one.
Oh.
I don't know. It came with something. Anyhow, it's a 22 millimeter, and basically you put 2 bolts in this crank thing, and that basically you could hold it. So we held it with a breaker bar, and then David put basically the jack handle on this guy, and we got it broke loose. So I guess now we could kind of take the timing stuff off and look at it, hopefully. So I got all the timing belt and everything off the front of this thing. It was kind of a pain in the butt to get that pulley off down there, the actual crank pulley. So you can see kind of what I did to get it off is I made this little thing. I think they might sell a version like this in the store, but basically what I did is, because these things kind of get locked on there, so I just threaded the bolt into the the actual crankshaft a little bit, and then basically you let's see, put another bolt in the top one right there, and then you basically just tighten it down until it pulls it out. Then you loosen it up a little bit, and then you back this thing out, and then you tighten it up again until it kind of gets pulled enough to where you can wiggle it off. So if you guys have ever wondered how to do that, that's I guess how you do it. I'm actually going to throw this in my my toolbox that I take to drift events, just in case I ever have to do a crank pulley there, because sometimes this little rubber thing will come off. So what I was trying to do, or trying to figure out, is looking at this little cog on the bottom. So you can see right here that it has like that little keyway, essentially, a little thing that's kind of folded in there. And a couple companies like Titan, and they basically take these things, like a brand new OEM one, and then they weld them, just because I guess they are kind of known to slip. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just throw a quick little TIG on the back of that, just kind of melt it together a little bit so it's nice and thin, but just so that it doesn't slip, because this one doesn't look like it slipped. I wish it had, because that would have been really nice. It wasn't this clean when I pulled it out either. I cleaned it up a bit. The other thing is this, you can see the sensor right there. That's the crank angle sensor or whatever. It had like a little bit of almost like it looked like a magnet, like picked up like some little crap on it. So you can see like the little fuzzies of stuff. So I went ahead and cleaned that off too. So maybe that's the issue, but I don't know. Maybe it was just getting a weird signal because of that metal kind of on the tip of the magnet. At least I'm hoping. But everything else looked like it was perfectly in time. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this thing back together after I throw that little weld on there. Alright guys, so kind of disappointed I didn't take you for the test drive, but it feels a little bit better, but it still kind of has an issue. I guess maybe one of the next things I think, or I guess I should say, is the check engine light went away, the code 13 went away after I cleaned the sensor and kind of cleaned up all that stuff on there. I welded that little cam thing, made sure everything was 100% perfectly in time, and it still does a little sputtering thing getting into boost. So I don't know, it's oh, and I also replaced I swapped out the fuel pressure regulator off of David's motor as well. We used David's ECU, the map sensor, I mean, just, I don't know, all kinds of stuff off of that thing just to try to figure out this guy and see that she'll run and boost. But one of the things I did see, it's kind of pointing me towards injectors, I think. I'll have to let this thing warm up for a sec, or the O2 sensor or whatever. But what it does is if it's kind of sitting, maybe it doesn't really do it when it's cold. But I mean, it kind of idles, but it was kind of doing like a little pop thing and kind of like a little sputter. And it was just kind of acting real weird, and when it would do that, it would kind of go lean. So that's kind of pointing me towards maybe injectors. You know, maybe, so you can almost kind of see it right there. It's kind of fluctuating and kind of going pretty lean. You know, maybe O2 sensor, maybe injectors, something like that. I mean, maybe there's a pinched fuel line underneath it. I don't know. Weird stuff. It's definitely kind of a weird issue. I wish I was able to kind of get it figured out in this video or whatever, to kind of if you guys are ever having any issues with your 2J or you know, whatever. But hopefully you guys kind of, you know, enjoyed the diagnostic like process and kind of the theory, you know, and kind of checking all the random things. But I don't know, it's still got the randomness. I guess the only thing we could do is we could swap a VVTi in it. I honestly thought, you know, it'd be kind of funny just to throw like a 1J VVTi with an auto in it, just to be funny, and you know, just cruise it around like that. Because honestly, it would be pretty awesome with even a 1J in it. But yeah, headlights next. But appreciate you guys watching, and try to figure out something. I want to start driving it, but dun dun dun, something else is on the list now.